Well, hello, my friends and fellow VEDSies. Welcome to a new episode of the vlog. It is time for another episode of my KISStory series. I'm really sorry that this has sort of fallen into becoming like a once-a-year series. The last couple years, I've only really gotten around to it during Video Every Day in September, and every year I swear I'm going to do a couple of more during the year, and this year I swear I'll get back to this series. But when I last left off in episode like 20 whatever, seriously, I'll link to the playlist. I've done a million of these dating back to 2019, going through the entire history of KISS, but where I left off, it was the end of 2011. KISS had just finished their long 3-year various legs here and there tour for their previous album, Sonic Boom, which was released in 2009. And of course, in October of 2011, they had just done the KISS Cruise. Some of us KISS fans thought at the time that a cruise is sort of a very late stage of career thing for a rock band to do it, and that worried some of us, but the cruise turned out really, really cool. And the other thing that KISS was doing in the year 2011 was they were sharing all these little teasers of being in the studio. I was so excited to learn that Sonic Boom was not going to be the last KISS album, that they were working on something new, and we as in us KISS fans, received word from KISS in January of 2012 that after a long 9 months in the studio, which is very long for them, they had finished their album. Now, the studio sessions had been interrupted several times over the course of those several months by various little touring commitments and the cruise and other stuff, but after that announcement in January, we all sort of sat back and waited for as the days went by, we were waiting to hear the announcement of the album and when it was going to come out, and it turned out we would actually have to wait quite a long time. In March, they announced a performance on Jimmy Kimmel Live. We stand in solidarity with Jimmy Kimmel. I know this is, am I going to get banned from YouTube for saying that? I just happened to have a Jimmy Kimmel reference in this video a couple days after. Anyway, I won't talk too much about that. But in March of 2012, the Kimmel Show still existed, you see, and KISS appeared on it. I was convinced, I was telling all my friends, KISS are totally going to play some new songs on this show, and all my friends were like, I don't care, it's 2012 and KISS are no longer relevant. But I was excited. And a little bit disappointed when that day came and I saw the show and they didn't play that song. But what they did do was, I didn't even expect this at the time, they came out wearing all new costumes for the second time in 3 years. KISS totally designed new costumes. Throughout the 70s and early 80s, that was a thing. Once every year or two, on the start of a new album cycle, they would come out and have totally new costumes. You'd get the new KISS album, and the costumes would be different from how they were the year before. But starting in the 90s, when KISS put the makeup back on, they mostly threw back to earlier eras. They did Love Gun for the reunion tour. They did the Destroyer era when they did the whole Psycho Circus farewell tour. Then they went back to the Alive costumes and back to Destroyer. But when they made Sonic Boom, they made all new costumes, which I was excited for. And now, 3 years later, they were doing it again, showing yet again that they were willing to be creative and do more things than just be the nostalgia touring band, although they were very interested in continuing to do that as well, of course. And as for originality and creativity of these new costumes, they are very Destroyer-esque. I mean, that's sort of been the complaint with any new costume set KISS designs. It's just like, looks like the Destroyer set a little bit. I know that Gene pretty much wants all of his costumes to be armored, and Tommy has some sort of the Ace V shape on all of his costume designs, and Paul tends to have some sort of vesty thing and frills, but it is a unique era of costuming. It is its own thing. Gene's pretty much is just the suit of armor with the, like, horns, and Eric has a fun vest. But he had a different vest for the Sonic Boom era, but this one was just a little bit different. But yeah, KISS did a few different appearances in March and April of 2012. Little promotional appearances, and they were not to promote any sort of new album, but rather they announced a new tour. Yes, a big co-headlining tour, not unlike what they'd done with Aerosmith in 2003. The difference this year being that KISS would be the final performer of the night. No matter how popular your band is, I can't imagine trying to perform after Kiss does their whole lights and pyro rock and roll party extravaganza show. Yes, it was a co-headlining tour with Motley Crue, which was very creatively referred to as the tour. It was not in support of any new album. They still were not releasing this new album yet, but what we did get was a single. In approximately June of 2012, Kiss released a new song called Hell or Hallelujah. I really did enjoy that track. I remember learning it on guitar the day that it came out, and even though the new album wouldn't be out yet, they would have a new song to play on this tour. They did a few scattered UK and European dates, like 2 or 3 for some reason, in like June, July, and then the real tour with Motley Crue started. This tour had a totally unique stage that was really just built for this tour. You'll notice there's no giant light-up Kiss logo behind them like they usually have. That was something that I sort of was just because of the limitations of this stage design, but I'm sad to say this, I always liked the big neon lit up Kiss logo that's always been behind them through the years. I know this is a small footnote, but starting in this tour and for most tours going forward, they really did abandon the concept of the big light up logo behind them. I don't know. I guess they figured they had enough screens they could just project this Kiss logo all they want. But for me, there's nothing quite like the actual logo with bulbs in it, flashing, so you could stare at it during the concert and nothing else. No, I'm kidding, but like, I don't know why this matters to me. Kiss would bring out that giant logo light here and there up to the end of 2014. In November of 2014, I know I'm flashing forwards, just for a brief moment to talk about the light up logo. They did an event for like Honda employees in November of 2014 that I found online where they still have a light up logo behind them. To my knowledge, that's the last time they actually used the neon Kiss sign. If anyone knows of a later performance or if it's still in storage somewhere, let me know because that thing is cool. In any case, 2012, the tour with Motley Crue goes off without a hitch. Whenever Kiss does a co-headlining tour, it allows them to do a shorter, like 80 to 90 minute long set, which I'm sure is helpful when you're getting a little bit on the older side. But after that tour is done, Kiss are finally ready to release the brand new album. I guess they held it back strategically. I don't know why they picked this date when it had been finished almost a year. I guess everything takes time these days. But in November of 2012, Monster was released. Yes, for the second time in 3 years, they had a brand new album, and it was very exciting for us Kiss fans. I know they had to change this logo at some point, and people assumed that it's because it looks a lot like a certain energy drink. But yes, Kiss new album Monster the Second with the Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer lineup. I went and got this vinyl copy the day it came out over at London Drugs here in Canada and was just so stoked to play it. I like this album. Sonic Boom is still, I like that one a little bit more than this one. I would love to have a vinyl copy of Sonic Boom, but those were very rare and hard to come by. They ran a very limited amount of those in 2009, but in any case, I was able to get this. They had a wider release on vinyl, which was awesome. I really enjoy the album. Sonic Boom still holds a special place for me. I think that hearing Sonic Boom was a little bit of a catharsis for me, that Kiss are back and they're not just like a past concept, they're still here making new music, and I really like that music. And for the Monster album, it's sort of like, let's do it again. And there's some good stuff on here. Like I said, I do like the title track of Hell or Hallelujah. Wall of Sound is a fun song. And yeah, it's very solid. I like it, but it's not like one of my favorite Kiss albums or anything, but anytime Kiss releases new music, I'm a happy guy, and this was the last time that would ever happen. This is the last studio album Kiss ever released. I'm coming to you now from 2025 after the end of the road tour. I can't imagine Kiss goes into the studio and does any other like studio album project. They wouldn't even really want to. It wasn't particularly a massive success for them financially, this album. But as these things do, it allows them to go out on tour again. They have a really cool concept for staging for the Monster tour that actually takes them a long time to I don't know if it took them a long time to finish or if it was too expensive to take on tour when they do smaller stuff. But the full-scale Monster stage design was finalized by the summer. But they had some touring to do before then. The first thing they did when this album was getting released was the Kiss Cruise 2. The Kiss Cruise became an annual thing that happened every year around October. Kiss fans gave the first Kiss Cruise really good reviews, especially when they went online. A lot of us got FOMO when we looked at some of the videos that were released of those concerts, and we saw the set list of the truly rare songs that were played, songs you almost never see Kiss perform live. And there were a lot of maybe a little bit more well-off Kiss fans, or Kiss fans that just saved all their money for this specifically, who were like, this is the greatest experience as a Kiss fan to see songs you wouldn't normally see Kiss play every single night on a cruise, and they got their tickets for Kiss Cruise 2 because it was all happening again. And there was some disappointment when the second Kiss Cruise happened in October of 2012 that the set list was like pretty straightforward. This is not too dissimilar from what you'd see at any Kiss concert. The main thing is that you have 5 songs from the new album Monster getting played for the very first time. Well, that's not true. They played Hell or Hallelujah a lot on the previous tour. 4 songs from Monster that they're playing for the very first time, which is cool. But other than that, I mean, there's a couple of rare songs here and there. And on the second night, they did a couple more rare songs, even than that, to throw in because they'd gotten such bad reviews from the first show. Not that it was a bad performance, but people paid all this money to see a Kiss show they wouldn't see elsewhere. And you know what? The anger was even stronger after Kiss did go on tour in South America. Did a pretty successful South American tour in November of 2012. But when they came and did those shows, it was pretty much the same set list as they played on the cruise, which says that in this instance, instead of just doing a special show for the fans, they basically used it as an opportunity to rehearse their upcoming new tour set list, to do sort of 2 warm-up shows. And Kiss fans did not like that. Like, we're in their minds, it was like, we pay all this money to see a really special show and you treat it just like it's a rehearsal. Yeah, there was some disappointment that they didn't play a lot of like classic rare songs people didn't hear on that cruise. But other than that, the Kiss Cruise is always a fun event, and I am jealous of anyone who ever got a chance to actually do one of those Kiss Cruise events. Like I said, they did their South American tour in November, the first leg of the Monster tour proper. That was very successful. Kiss took a little bit of a winter break after that, and then in February of 2013 returned to the road with more touring in Australia. Did an Australian leg of touring that again did very well. Kiss are always very popular in Australia. They have a very strong Australian fan base and always have. Like I said, they didn't really have the Monster stage proper. They were sort of just putting things together from stuff they had in storage. They didn't have, like, the true vision for this stage was not yet realized. That came when the European tour started in June. Kiss, once again, wanted to spend the entire summer on the road. The last several years, Kiss spends the summer touring the U.S. most years. You know, big tour in 2009 in the fall. 2010 summer they were on tour in the States. 2011 summer they did a US leg. 2012 summer they did the Motley Crue tour. They really don't want to miss out on that summer touring cycle, so they do it again. Starting in Europe in June, and when they start that tour, they show off their beautiful new spider stage. It was really cool. The lighting trusses on the sides were sort of like the legs to the spider. Filming videos was a lot faster before I had dogs. All my videos have a dog break now because my dogs are real loud. Okay, where was I? So their brand new stage, the sort of spider stage design, you have the arms of the stage are like the lighting rig, and then they have a central platform that they descend from, which is like the body or head of the spider. It was actually really, really cool. I never got a chance to see this tour, but it's awesome that, again, they have totally new costume designs, a totally new stage design that is really like a unique concept, unlike anything that they'd ever designed before. And yeah, the costumes, new music, all that good stuff. As a Kiss fan, it was a truly unique and exciting time that they were exploring these new projects. The European tour did very well in June of 2013, and then as usual they do the US touring cycle, like I said, through July and August. And then they take the tour down to Japan in October, and they play another legendary run at Budokan Hall, which they've been playing so many times, dating back all the way to 1977, when they broke the Beatles record for most tickets sold in a single run, basically just by booking one more show than the Beatles had when they came in the 60s, but still, Japan, like Australia, has a very strong KISS fan base, and they came and sold out the Budokan Hall for those KISS shows in October, and then they also did some other shows elsewhere in Japan, brought the whole Spider touring rig along with them. But that was pretty much the end of the Monster Tour. Once again, as it is now an annual event, there's yet another KISS Cruise, the KISS Cruise 3, which takes place in October, November, and they sort of rectify the issues of the previous year by going back to a deep cut, songs rarely played live type of set list, and KISS fans are once again pleased with what they are offered. But that sort of became a trend going forward. It was really weird. Some years on the KISS Cruise, they would play the rarities, and this would not be the last time, 2012 rather, would not be the last time that KISS used the cruise just to sort of warm up what they were going to do on the next tour. You're sort of rolling the dice as a KISS fan for which one you're going to get, but again, every year they would do the acoustic outdoor show as well, so that was really fun, and there were always other bands and events going on over the course of the cruise. Again, so jealous that I never got to attend one of those. But that pretty much does it for the Monster album and touring cycle. Yet one final time that KISS really did a new musical project. They would continue to tour for yet another decade, but it was pretty much, for better or for worse, the greatest hits going forward. Again, the Monster Tour even was largely a greatest hits tour, just with a couple of new songs thrown in. But that's what KISS sort of was. I personally am in a KISS tribute band and have also had to come to terms with, if you do really deep cuts, the audience gets bored and gets a drink and hopes for you to play. As Paul Stanley famously always says, that's nice, now play Love Gun. There's like 10 to 12 songs we've noticed as I go on a tangent. Support me and my KISS band, Alive and Kissin', when we perform near you. But yeah, we know there's about 10 to 12 songs that get a really big audience reaction. And when we play longer shows than that, we get the opportunity to use the other 6 to 8 songs, if we're doing a big long show with 20 plus songs, to play stuff we'd like to play, and songs that we know the diehards really want to hear. We'll do songs like Rock Bottom or Parasite, or we've had a lot of fun with Charisma recently, Hard Luck Woman, anything. Anyway, it's an opportunity for us in the rehearsal studio to pick some songs we want to do. But KISS sort of realized this at this point, and diehards don't like that either. There's KISS fans love to complain on the message boards, is what I am getting at here. Yeah, the diehards love to complain. They're always like, why don't KISS they should do this album in its entirety, or they should do these rare songs they've never played before. For an arena show, a 12 to 15,000 or more people arena show, KISS have got to play the hits, keep the audience up, and make it a real rock and roll party. And every year they usually do give us a couple of fun, deep-ish cuts. So I have no problem with the fact that the remainder of KISS's career from here on out focuses on the hits, and just every tour is like an opportunity to go out and do it one more time. By my count, there will be like maybe 2 or 3 more episodes of this show. I've made like 25. Maybe that's what I'll do. I know I always say I'm going to continue this series and do so many videos, and then I don't until the next year, but maybe I'll do 1 or 2 more episodes throughout the year, and then next year in VEDS, we will get to the final chapter of KISS's KISStory. 1972 to 2023, and I know there is some sort of Vegas event planned for November, but I better shut up. Man, I can ramble in this year's VEDS particularly. But thank you for watching, and I will catch you with another video again tomorrow and every day for the rest of this month. Check out the links in the description for the channels to my other 6 wonderful fellow VEDSies. We are all making a video every day this month. We're almost 2/3 of the way through the month, and I am not almost 2/3 of the way through my videos, so I better get moving. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, and at some point in the future with another episode of KISStory.